Hello, this is Pastor Kevin of Antioch United Methodist Church. Good to have you here on Friday, February 10th, 2023. This is my message that I'm preaching at my church on Sunday, February the 12th, 2023. Our church is located at 3614 North State Highway H in Springfield, Missouri. If you're ever anywhere near Springfield, Missouri, please join us on Sunday morning at 8:30 with piano music, worship, and message and prayer, and the 11 o'clock service, which has choir, praise team, musicians, nursery. I promise you, you will be warmly welcomed and you will be inspired by the message and the music. If you watched the Grammy Awards last Sunday, February 5th, you would have seen what looked like a satanic ceremony. If you did not watch the Grammy Awards last Sunday, then, well, good for you. You didn't miss much. It seems like a lot of what comes out of the music industry and the movie industry is looking more and more satanic and demonic. What do you think? Sometimes it looks like the darkness is overtaking the light in popular culture. Sometimes just to create outrage and controversy. Sometimes it looks like evil is winning in our society. I want to share a quote from you from the late Reverend Billy Graham. I think it was spot on when he said, as you read your newspapers, watch television, or listen to the radio, or I would add, go on the internet, remember this one thing. The only reasonable explanation of the awful conditions that face us today is the answer given in the ancient book we call the Bible. In it, you will find the answer to the multitude of problems that you face every day. The world is sick. It is filled with anger, anguish, brutality, crime, and doubt. Despair and death stalk every country. Sorrow, suffering, and sin abound. War and wickedness have made our generation wild. Tragedy and sorrow are on every hand. But thanks be to God, our God has never faced a crisis. Nothing has ever taken God by surprise. God has never come to a moment of panic in himself. He always followed a perfect program. Satan has never frustrated God's plan for humanity, nor hindered God's cause in the course of all the ages. Our God is sovereign, and in him is all sufficiency. This is our message. This is the rainbow of hope that I give to you today. And that was true in the day of Billy Graham, and that is the rainbow of hope that I give you right now on this video. God is alive and well. He is working in the hearts of many people, and we should not allow ourselves to get distracted by nonsense in the Grammy Award ceremony or the Academy Awards or the Golden Globe Awards or what's happening in the entertainment industry or even politics. The Apostle Paul said over 2,000 years ago in Colossians 1 verse 6, the gospel is bearing fruit and growing throughout the whole world, just as it has been doing among you since the day you heard it and truly understood God's grace. The gospel is bearing fruit. The gospel is the story of Jesus Christ. It is the good news. The word gospel means good news of Jesus Christ. It is bearing fruit, which means it is successful. The gospel is spreading throughout the world, Paul is saying here. People are being changed every day by the grace of God, even in the American entertainment industry. Kaya Jones was raised in a Christian home. She strayed from the Lord for many years, as many do when they're young. She got into the music industry, became a singer, producer, and was briefly a member of the all-female band, the Pussycat Dolls. And she enjoyed all the fame and fortune from that, but also came along with it lots of sin and corruption and problems. So much so that eventually she walked away from all of that and publicly declared her faith in Jesus Christ and got baptized in a church. She won a Grammy Award. Speaking of Grammy Award ceremony, she won a Grammy Award in 2019 for a collaboration with a gospel artist named Jason Crabb on his Christian album, Unexpected. Now, I've never heard of that Christian album or that gospel artist, but the point is that the Holy Spirit was moving in her heart all along the way and changing her heart towards Jesus. It's not all doom and gloom out there. Satan loses and God wins. Satan loses and God wins in people's lives. More people are being transformed by the gospel and the Holy Spirit more than we know. It's just not talked about on the evening news or on the stage of the Grammys or the Oscars or the Golden Globes. It's not talked about too often on social media sites or the cable news networks. People are turning to God more than we realize. Miracles are happening more than we know. In 2018, young Trenton McKinley, 13 years old, was riding in a small trailer being pulled behind a dune buggy when a terrible accident happened. He hit the concrete. He was rushed to the hospital where doctors counted 7 skull fractures. He was actually pronounced dead and was dead for 15 minutes. When he came back a little bit, doctors determined that Trenton was brain dead and would never be awake and normal again. One day before doctors were to pull the plug on his life support, Trenton began to wake up. His eye color had changed from blue to green with small white specks of glitter. It was as if seeing glory changed his eye color. Trenton now talks and walks, though still a long road to recovery. He said, "I was in an open field walking straight forward." He described seeing heaven. He said, "There's no other explanation but God. There's no other way." He had a glimpse of heaven itself. Folks, he's still in the business. God is still in the recovery business. God is still in the life-changing business. God is still in the miracle business, and people are being changed by the Holy Spirit, and some people are still getting divine glimpses of heaven itself. Satan loses, God wins. King David said in Psalm 37, verse 27, "Turn away from evil and do good, and so shall you dwell forever." And more people than we realize are indeed turning away from evil and turning to good. For example, Catherine von Drakenberg became known as Kat Von D. She was born to missionary parents and had a very happy childhood, according to her. But in her early teens, she also began to rebel against her Christian roots. She became interested in tattoos, got many tattoos, dropped out of high school. She became famous on the reality show Miami Ink, and then her own LA Ink. And she launched her own makeup line with Sephora. She became a millionaire, but she also got involved in sin and drinking and wild living. As you can imagine, it comes with LA and fame and fortune and celebrity. Now, she finally settled down and got married in 2018, had her first child. And it seems that the Holy Spirit was working on her heart through her marriage and motherhood, because she made a turnaround in her life. She ended up selling her shares in her makeup business. She sold her tattoo parlor and sold her mansion in LA and moved her family to Indiana. She wanted to live in a more safe area where there were more family, wholesome values. That was all in December 2020. Although it's not clear that she calls herself a Christian per se, it certainly seems like she is going in that direction when she said on her Instagram, "It's never been more clear to me that there is a spiritual battle taking place, and I want to surround myself and my family with love and light." A spiritual battle taking place. That sounds like the Apostle Paul in Ephesians chapter 6, 12 and 13, when he said, "For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms." Paul said, "Therefore put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes," and it comes for all of us, the day of evil, day of disaster, day of trouble, "you may be able to stand your ground. And after you have done everything, to stand." Things may not go your way, but you'll be able to stand your ground. You may not get all that you want, but you'll be able to stand your ground. Your life right now may not be what you pictured your life being a few years back, but you'll be able to stand your ground and stand firm in faith. Well, in July of 2022, just last summer, Kat Von D said that she got rid of the books in her library about witchcraft and magic spells and tarot cards because, as she said, those books did not align with who I am and who I want to be. In her life, Satan loses, God wins. The Apostle Paul said in Colossians chapter 1, verses 12 and 13, that he was giving joyful thanks to the Father, for he has rescued us from the dominion of darkness and brought us into the kingdom of the Son he loves. More and more people, even celebrities, are being rescued out of the dominion of darkness and brought into the kingdom of the Son of God. It happened for Johnny Cash. It happened for Alice Cooper. And it's happening for millions and millions across the world. And the Holy Spirit is not just moving in the hearts of people to make a whole life change. The Holy Spirit is also right now moving in people's hearts to do everyday acts of loving kindness, which have the power to change people's lives. A woman recently testified. She said, "I was a poor kid growing up. My mom used to send me to birthday parties with no present, just so I could eat. I definitely got to a point where I understood and was embarrassed about my life. In 5th grade, my friend's mom invited me to sleep over the night before her daughter's birthday party. When her daughter was in the shower, the mom laid out the toys that she had bought for her daughter for her birthday. And she let me pick one to wrap and put my name on so that I wouldn't have to go to the birthday party the next day with no present to give and be embarrassed." She said, "I'm 37 now, and I'm still grateful to that mom. That one act made such an impact on me. Always be kind," she said. Isn't that cool? Now we're coming up to Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day should be about more than just romantic love. It should be about love in general. How often does the Bible speak about love? Love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Love one another as I have loved you. Love your enemies and pray for those who hurt you. It's all about love. That is the heart of our faith. So your simple act of love towards somebody else has the power to make a life-changing impact upon someone. A man by the name of Mike Carpinelli told this story. He said, about 2 years ago, a father took a photo when he was driving his son to rehab in St. Lawrence, New York. His son decided he didn't want to go, and he took his father's cell phone and he called 911 and told them he was being kidnapped. When the man got pulled over, his son got out of the vehicle, and the state trooper had stood on the side of the road with his addict son and talked to this young man for about an hour, patiently convincing him to let the father drive him to rehab. The father was astounded at the police officer's dedication to the cause of addiction. That officer successfully got the son back in the vehicle without force and drove him to St. Lawrence, about an hour and a half drive. That police officer literally walked in with that young man into that rehab. This is a tribute to great, loving public servants that truly care. Big shout out to the officer. Isn't that cool? Being patient with somebody, being loving with somebody, looking past their problems, their hang-ups, their addictions, their moods, their personality changes, looking past their anger and doing the right thing for somebody and being compassionate and kind. You have the ability on Valentine's Day, on any day, every day, you have the power to make a positive, perhaps life-changing impact upon somebody's life by a simple act. You don't have to pray some mighty and powerful prayer to impact someone's life. You don't have to pay out some big amount of money to make an impact. Your simple acts of kindness, your simple heartfelt gesture, being nice towards somebody, being kind, being considerate, being a listener, being patient with somebody, that is what so many people need every day. And the Holy Spirit of God works through your acts of kindness and love. Who knows how many lives you have already touched just by your kindness, just by you being nice, just by you being a listener. I believe this story about the police officer and that young man who was an addict is a metaphor for Jesus Christ bringing rebellious sinners back to himself. In John 12, verse 32, Christ said, "And I, if I am lifted up from the earth, will draw all peoples to myself." In the end, love wins. In the end, God wins. Satan loses, God wins. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, please give a like to this video, subscribe to this channel. I'll be here every Thursday or Friday to give you my next Sunday's message. This Valentine's Day, whether you give flowers and chocolates or not, whether you have a sweetheart or not, be loving, be kind, find ways that you can extend yourself and love people. It will make a positive impact. Thanks again for watching. God bless.